And so what I was saying is that if you're in the know, you're actually using marketing automation, you use the term MA, okay? So just like very equivalent to CMS, if you say, I'm gonna use a content management system platform. That's not a term we use in the email marketing world, right? So most of us are coming from email marketing to an email and website rather to marketing automation. That's probably a good thing to use right there, because email marketing is not seen as a platform. It's seen as a tool. And maybe that's a good distinction that we even start the conversation today about what is marketing automation, is that email marketing is one tool, marketing automation is a full platform. So much like within the content management system world, a content management platform is going to have the ability to have, you put your content into it, I can tag it, I have search capabilities, I have a different page, I have navigation structure, I have ways that I can publish pages, I can do workflow management within the tool, very similar to, you know, it's a full kind of world onto content. Marketing automation is the same thing. It's one platform that bundles together a lot of different tool sets, email being one of them, in order to accomplish some greater purpose of experience. Then we're going to talk about kind of some self-assessment as we talk through, and always we have more tools here at Highroad U. Okay, so let's start with talking about the business case of marketing automation and association industry trends and what's kind of happening out there. And so from a standpoint, you know, we at Highroad, we only work within the association space. We have a kind of an interesting bird's eye view as we look across our clients, and we can start to really see, you know, something is fundamentally changing. And we saw that fundamental shift starting about 3 years ago now. And we started to track that shift in the State of Digital Marketing Associations report that we put out each year. And what we do is we put that report out and we start looking at it based on, are we seeing indicators in terms of budget spend, staffing? Are you hiring? How high a title? What's the highest title of marketing you have in your organization? We track a couple of key indicators to be able to understand where associations are, if you will, in kind of this digital maturity model of moving towards, instead of being association-centric, to being user-centric. And so the traditional landscape in associations looks something very much like this, right? The technology department are the ones who held the keys to what software you're going to buy, the budgets. They're the ones who made sure that, you know, they rolled out the training, they did the manuals, they made sure that everything perhaps integrated in with the association management systems, et cetera. And maybe a lot of times when it came to doing work such as web work or work out into email, the technology team was the one who it was seen as a more technical task that required their skill set. Well, with the advent of social media and social communities and technology getting simpler and simpler, and I really think it started with social media, the technology department started saying, I don't need, like, there's no technical aspect of posting on Twitter. This doesn't need us. And so there's a shift that started, you know, probably about 8 years ago, and it's continuing to gain momentum as the people that are buying the technology, the users of the technology, the reporting on it, et cetera, and the budgeting for it is continuously shifting into the business units. So it's shifting into, you know, publications is like, I need a way to generate leads for my publications. The professional development department is saying, look, I've got to have new ways that I can market effectively to gain new users to my seminars, et cetera. And so what was seen traditionally was that it was very common to walk into an association and, like, this was not even a problem. You could come into an association and your head of communications or your head of, you know, marketing or your head of events, et cetera, would say, look, I'm not technical. And it was like the second bullet out of their mouth. And that has fundamentally changed because the buying power and also the usage and the reporting, those groups have continuously said, or they've gotten to a point that they're like, we have to be able to use technology effectively so that we can actually understand and predict how people are going to buy our products, how people are going to join, and then understand and be proactive in understanding why they're not doing something. So the whole traditional landscape has kind of been turned on its head as each one of the units or departments and the association as a whole has become more and more aware that they have to be able to fundamentally understand the behavior of the user, right, in order to get revenue of the user. So something has been happening and boiling up, and one of the pieces that's made this kind of digital transformation piece is that a lot of the skill sets have really come up, and the norm now, we talk about this all the time at Highroad. You know, decades ago, typing was seen as a skilled position, and you had typists, right? You have pools of people that were just, all they did was type up documents. And at some point in the workforce, typing became something that every person in the organization is expected to be able to do, right? It's no longer a separate skill set. You just have to be able to type. And that's exactly where we are in today's world with the usage of software and the usage of digital, and understanding how digital is being used, and it's every person in the organization. So this idea, there's very little margin now if you don't have these certain level of skill set. And so what's then has happened is that level of skill set has come up, or associations have restructured to make sure that they have that level of understanding and knowledge and familiarity with software tools and just a framework for how they work. And that's then caused these business units to say, look, now I want more, because why am I waiting for reports from the IT department? Why can't I write them for myself, right? I'm the closest to my product. I'm the closest to my customers of that product, right? Whether it's the membership department, the event department, etc. I'm the closest. So why can't I be the owner of these tools and the purveyor of them, since I want to be the practitioner of them, okay? And that kind of push there has caused a lot of this type of shift. And at the same time, the technology has become very, very easy to use, right? It now has an interface, etc., for anyone to use. And now it's not about, do I have the aptitude to use a technology tool? It's, do I know, do I have the aptitude back on the subject matter expert, right? Back on that subject matter expertise. So I can use a tool now to apply to anything, right? What I now want to know is, okay, what are you trying to do? And that's really where marketing automation has come into place. So if we look at really where we are in today's world, we're not done with this shift by any means, but kind of the leading organizations who in the association market, you see the same kind of organizations be the early adopters with each new technology wave. They've adopted this stuff, and they've been up and live on marketing automation typically for 2 to 3 to 4 years now, okay? So we're hitting now the big part of the bell curve, if you will, of the association industry, where now everybody's looking to say, okay, we need to do something, right? And that's, just so you know, we're not in the early adopter stages anymore. We're really in now getting into the mass middle of just like the organizations who don't have big budgets. They're not large staff, right? That's an important kind of fact to know. This isn't like future, this is now. So those organizations are saying, look, we want some of that good stuff too, because we're hearing what these other organizations are doing. We've got the same issues, we need to be able to do more with what we've got. Okay, what's the next thing? Okay, and so as that's happening, marketing automation is now, you're seeing, that's one of the reasons that it's really starting to, now it's starting, because we hit the tipping point, and now we're starting to go into, it's going like wildfire, okay, because we're going into mass adoption. So the two reasons from a business perspective for why your association, or why other associations have already done this, and they chose to do this, and why you might be thinking about it now, is there's two reasons that associations specifically adopt marketing automation. And this is Highroad's thinking here. These are our words after doing this for, going on 4 years now. So there's two reasons. You want to gain insight, and you want to grow revenue. Those are the two things. If I look at all of our implementations, if I look at all of the work that we've done with our clients, at the end of the day, and typically they had both reasons they wanted to do it, but there's certainly one or the other, okay? So let's look at kind of those in turn. So the first one about gain insight, like what's that get us? So they come to us and the organization says, I really need a way to increase engagement. I keep sending email and we either have static, opens, or they're declining, or just we're not getting the responses back on live events that we used to have. It's just not quite working the same way. And we need to understand why. We don't feel like we really know our members. That's a big one. We don't really feel like we know for the people who might be interested with our product or services, we don't really know them in any sort of substantial depth. So we need to gain more insight. We hear it all the time. We need better metrics. We just don't have the metrics we need. We only have open and click-through rates, and we don't really know what they do. So in this kind of scenario, marketing automation comes into place because we're going to talk about why it answers this gain insight, okay? And so the whole idea is that there's a need there that we have to be able to report back into perhaps our executive team, perhaps to the board. We have to really know how we're going to be able to position and place our new programs and services in front of usually current members, current customers, like maybe just event attendees, etc., in a way that we're going to be able to get them to have repeat business. Okay, it was hard enough to get them the one time. How do we continue to keep that going? All right, and that's kind of a big piece of that as well. The second part of it is that the grow revenue. So it's like, hey, you know what? We're running out of people. That's the number one, the number one thing on the growth side. We need new members, right? And so the organizations are struggling because there are things that happen normally, like there's a normal database decay. Okay, about 20% or so of your email marketing database, the lists go bad. What we've traditionally done in order to replenish those lists is traditionally the association would go and buy email lists and blast people with new offers and hope to have somebody convert into a new member or customer, etc. Again, the problem with that is that's not exactly the legal way to do things, because just buying email lists is really suspect and not what email is intended to do, and it's really in a gray area of CAN-SPAM compliance. So if you can't buy email lists, right, and you're not supposed to do that, and you're actually in compliance with CAN-SPAM, and you really have a relationship, etc., and it's permission-based. Email is supposed to be permission-based. It's supposed to be a one-to-one communication. It was never supposed to be treated like the fax machine that it's become for so many of us. If we're supposed to do that, okay, well then what else do we do, right? How do we get new leads? How am I going to do this? How am I going to go find those new millennials that I think need to replace maybe other parts of my population that are aging out, they're retiring, etc. Where am I going to get this new group of people? And so the association market as a whole is saying they're at a point to say, look, here's the bottom line. Most associations have never had to grow substantially in the age of digital. I'm going to say that again. Most associations have never had to grow in the age of digital. The last time they had this type of growth that they needed to do, right, we could use direct mail and maybe faxing, but certainly was direct mail. Now we're in a world of digital. What does that mean to us? And we've got to figure out, can we be smarter? And you could still try to just grow through direct mail. Direct mail is, more popular than ever in certain scenarios. However, it's also very expensive. It also doesn't give us all the metrics we want. So it could be part of our way that we're going to do a growth strategy, but we certainly need something else. And that something else is where marketing automation comes in, because what everybody wants to know is finding out the secret formula for how to use digital in the right way, to use it to convert new members, new customers, etc., new event registrants, new professional development, course takers, etc. We want to understand how to do that, because digital has two properties which are beloved by any organization, and that is everything can be measured, and the second piece of it is you cannot beat it in terms of the cost per lead. You can't beat it, okay? So you can measure everything, and if you look at really the amount that it costs you to obtain a new lead and convert them to a member or a customer, it's pretty hard to beat through any sort of other, mechanism, okay? So that's why it's so appealing. But we got to understand the business part of that, all right? So the piece there is that the whole concept that we need to get about marketing automation and the difference of making you a savvy shopper in marketing automation and not getting hoodwinked to think that if I have a series of emails that are going out consistently, that constitutes marketing automation. That's not marketing automation. If you don't have the revenue equation as part of this understanding, you're not doing marketing automation, you're doing email, okay? You have to have the revenue equation. And the whole concept, the whole reason for a marketing automation platform is not, again, a new way to do email and social tied together. The whole idea is that I'm trying to set up a funnel. I'm trying to set up a funnel and move people from an unknown state. They didn't know who I was. They had no idea that my association had all this wonderful, educational products and networking opportunities, et cetera, volunteer opportunities. I'm trying to move them from having no idea through a funnel and pull them into becoming this type of customer. And then once they're, and that's the grow revenue side. Once they're a customer or a member, a constituent, whatever you want to call them, a donor, I now want to know how to make them, right, even into like an evangelist. So in order to do that, I got to understand that. I need to understand conversion rates. I need to understand how much money am I spending to get a new member. And what I want to know is, I want to know what that is, right? I want to know if I spend $10,000, what can I expect to see, okay? And I want to say, if I spend $10,000, what did I actually get? So this is kind of some of the fundamentals on looking at marketing automation and understanding it's all about conversion through a funnel. And the funnel could be from going from, a prospect to a customer, whatever you want to define customer as, member, attendee, donor, etc. It could also be going from starting at being a customer and going into kind of a brand evangelist or like a member for life. The other side of it on a business perspective is that organizations want to do this because they want to become proactive. They're realizing their hold on their membership base is slipping. They're more than aware that the events that they have, perhaps the way that they're doing products and services and delivery needs to be updated, is not, again, as effective as it perhaps it used to be, or maybe all of that's really, really effective right now. That's not a problem, but it's for a very specific audience that they have. It's for the current population, right? And they're realizing that their demographics, their membership, et cetera, are changing, and they're not prepared. So the third piece is from an overall, this is usually when you hear the board come in or you hear the executive of the association say, we need to move to some of these new tools because we've got to get more data about what's happening now so we can actually be ready for the future. Whether that future is next year, 3 years, et cetera, they want to be proactive and not get blindsided. They don't want to all of a sudden see that they've come to the cliff and the whole bottom's about to drop out of everything they've done. And the reason that they haven't adjusted is because everybody was running around saying, there's no problem. This is how we've always done it. We don't have an issue with this. Our current members are really happy, with the chicken lunch and going to a seminar from 12 to 3 and driving in, etc. And they're like, we don't hear anybody saying anything. And they're basing everything on just kind of a snapshot of maybe today, but they're not looking forward. They're not being proactive. So this one typically for me comes to, typically we have kind of three kind of avenues of input for who's looking for a new marketing automation platform. One of them is like, hey, we need a new email marketing tool. We need to do a better job and we want to do more. That's like a total classic bread and butter example. Another one comes in and says, look, we really need to do, lead generation and like the more insight because we want to do a better job selling to the people we already know. Absolutely, case two. Third one is this one. This one typically comes to me from, again, a board member, somebody at the executive, VP level, who is looking out and saying, we don't have any sort of early detection system in place. And we've got to get this tool because we see very clearly, if we put this in place, we at least are working on data, right? And we're not going to get blindsided. We need to put this in place because as a consumer myself, I'm seeing how much is changing. I'm walking into Starbucks with my app, I'm doing XYZ. I'm going to a website, I'm putting in my whole description, and somebody's serving me up doctor, options that I should go to, right? And that organization that's doing that doctor directory is not my association. It should be me. So we're all aware from our own perspective that something's changing, and there are, the innovative executives at associations are saying, we got to get there now. Like, no, we can't wait. Not another day, not another longer. This isn't about getting another email tool. This is about being able to stay in business. This is about the fact that if we don't make fundamental early warning detection system changes now, we're going to go extinct, right? This cannot wait any longer because somebody else is going to eat up our market. And this is the third one, because this is the understanding that, again, fundamentally, the entire shopping experience of every almost human on earth has changed through digital, and the likelihood of it going back to us only shopping through catalogs and going to the store is probably not going to happen, okay? Because it doesn't seem to be, it seems like we're just going to do more and more through digital. So that's kind of an important one to understand as well. So moving over to, great, so that's all the business cases. That's kind of the impetus for why most organizations say, we got to get going on this. You know, fourth one is maybe why you're here today. They've heard rumblings and they really want to know, what is this thing, right? And there's a lot of skepticism, like, nah, this is just the same thing we already had. And it is, again, if you're looking at feature function of a platform, it's how you apply a marketing automation platform to your business that is the big shift, okay? So if all you want to do is send more email and send an easier way to do email, right? That's not marketing automation, okay? That's called MailChimp, probably. I mean, it's just, that's not what this is. This is about using a tool set to be able to get data so I can be far more predictive in the market about who is going to adopt my product and consume it, and how I'm going to make money on it, and what I should do to change it, to change that equation. That's really the fundamentals. And I need a tool set that's going to allow me to do that as fast and effectively and efficiently as possible. So marketing automation itself, okay, it's not a concept. Everything we've talked about is a concept of digital marketing, digital transformation. Marketing automation itself, it's a category of technology products. That's what it is, okay? So when people say, oh, I'm doing marketing automation, it doesn't really make sense, right? It's like saying, oh, I'm doing my content management system. So right there, you're like, you're not really understanding. Somebody's gotten to you and you haven't really had the right teacher explain to you what this thing is. It's a category of software products, right? That's a bundle of all these kind of point solution tools that many of us have been using for years and years and years, right? That's what marketing automation is. It's a category of software. It's software. And what's new for associations and why sometimes they get a little bit confused is because the major players in the marketing automation software world have never been maybe a name you've ever heard of, right? Because remember, this is all coming into the association world. So and many associations are used to like the same vendors that they've always gotten their, website from, or email from, or online community from, etc. And they're not realizing that that set of vendors is a very tiny little cottage industry in a global software industry, right? And in a global software industry, marketing automation is nothing new, right? You've got players like, Marketo and HubSpot and Acton and Oracle, and Salesforce bought Pardot. They've been out there for, 10 plus years. This is nothing new, okay? This is not like this just happened with us. It's just that the association market is starting to wake up to this category of software called marketing automation, okay? That's an important kind of piece to know. And that these tools that are out there that have been out in the software industry for all this time, they've been vetted over, years and years and years and millions of users, okay? So they have really deep history on all of this pieces, and they're not just now developing the product. Okay, and they have been serving, they've been serving organizations of every shape, size, quantity, walk of life, etc. So again, they're there having built together this amazing tool set of so many features you can probably never even get to them. And then the key is, how do you apply it, right? And again, the application of the technology to the association business is not a feature function problem. That's not a solution there. That's a human where you have a partner who's going to be able to tell you, here's how you want to apply it for you. Here's how you're going to be able to use the tool set within marketing automation to get you where you need to go. okay? The tool, we're at a different point now. We're out of this world of do-it-yourselfing, okay? This do-it-yourselfing world of like, hi, here's an email tool and good luck with it. That's why all of us are still blast emailing, because nobody really taught us the best practices of how to use it and how to use it for personalization and the whole piece of the channel. So this marketing automation piece requires you to have more education overall in the market, right? It requires to have more guidance in this. This is not like just buy a tool off the shelf and tinker with it. I mean, you can, not that you can't get there, but it's probably just going to take a long time. And there's a whole lot of marketing and technology packed in that it really does beget having, you know, people who know what they're doing get you up to speed with it, okay? That's my kind of pitch on that. But the marketing automation, it's a category software. And so because it is this type of thing, at the same time, because I told you marketing automation bundles together all these tools, we also have a lot of overlap. And everybody has some piece where they'll say, oh, we do marketing automation. Your email company will tell you that. Your association management system might tell you that. Salesforce will tell you, oh, we've got Salesforce Cloud. You know, you'll hear, oh, we have, excuse me, you know, we have this from Microsoft CRM, and it lends into this piece. We have our website company, Episerver. We use Episerver. They have a piece of marketing automation. You got pure play marketing automation companies. You got PR tech companies who are now saying they're doing this, okay? And they're not wrong, because everybody has kind of a little overlap, perhaps, for a full piece of it. So it does get confusing, okay? And you should just know that. It's not just you. So how can I know, right? The question of why, again, what marketing automation platforms, the piece itself is trying to do, is they're trying to answer this question. They're trying to answer, how can I know you, okay? And remember when we talked about gain insight, grow revenue. If I know, it's like, put on your membership hat for a second. If I could know as much as I could possibly get, if I could ask this potential member or this particular member now, everything I really wanted to know about them, I would be able to create an amazing association experience. If I could sit down with each individual member and interview them and talk to them about their tastes and preferences, what time of year is a good time of year for you to have a conference? What's a bad time? What kind of foods do you like? What do you read on a daily basis? Do you read on your tablet? How often do you travel? You know, are you the ambitious kind? Are you a joiner type? Do you like small groups? Do you like to participate? Do you have a hard time just being on conference calls? You know, do you have a leadership piece that you want? Imagine if I could really sit down and design I could get all that information from each individual member and have it so I can actually structure an experience for that member that fits them. Wouldn't they love our membership, right? And here's going to be your content we're going to get you. This is what's going to be picked out for you. Here's what we recommend, etc. That idea of being able to have that personalized member experience, personalized user experience, whether I'm going for membership or my conference or a seminar or a webinar or my education, doesn't matter. The idea of having a user-centric experience is what we're used to as consumers. It's our expectation. It's what we want, okay? So the whole point of marketing automation is to try to answer this question and give you a tool set to collect as many data points as possible so that I can be able to not have to, because I can't go out and ask every individual 30,000 users, that I can be able to see what this user, what this individual is doing, what they want. And I can intuit. I can ask them, here's our membership survey, collect that information. I can see what they're buying and registering for, take their actual transactional history. And then I can actually have a way that I can watch what they're actually doing on our website, on emails, on social media, etc. So I can understand their behavior and intuit what they're actually trying to do. That whole idea is kind of called the buyer's journey, right? So I'm trying to understand, and so I also, the more I can know individuals, the better of an experience I can craft them. Because the whole idea is the more I know these people, the better a communication I can give to them so that they understand, hey, my association knows me, right? They really get me. I can have some sort of personal, meaningful relationship right? Even if we're not talking face to face. And digital is supposed to be able to deliver on that, right? Digital is supposed to be able to deliver on the idea that I can have a fundamentally emotional, intellectual experience with a brand, even without me physically interacting with it, right? I'm mentally interacting with it. And the associations, that's the piece that we need to glom onto and figure out what that is, that it's not so distant, okay? And the marketing automation is going to help us on that behavioral layer piece. So let me give you a simple example. You know, look up at the screen if you're just looking. We're looking at two gentlemen. If you notice in the back, we've got some Harley Davidson stuff, etc. They're out there, they're on a nice bike ride, and they're having a good time. You know, turns out, I mean, we could look at this and we could make all sorts of conclusions. Turns out they're also board members, right? They've also been in a particular, you know, physician society for years and years and years, right? So if I wanted to round out their experience, if I really wanted to do something personal for them, you know, wouldn't it be great if I had this piece of information about them? See what I'm saying? If I understood that this was like some whole other passion point of them, wouldn't I be able to have even a better response if they come to the conference and I'm the greeter and I'm looking and I'm ahead of time saying, oh, look, here comes so-and-so and so-and-so, you know, just keep in mind, they're big Harley fans, etc. You know, we can talk about that and ask them how, you know, their last kind of thing was, okay? We understand that when it comes to live events and knowing that about that, but it's the same concept in digital. Wouldn't it make sense that if instead of me looking at the picture with their motorcycles and them walking, if instead I'm looking at a report and I'm seeing exactly all the website pages they landed on, I'm looking at all the content that they've consumed, maybe a webinar, maybe an ebook, research, etc. I'm looking at the emails that they actually clicked on. I'm looking at, you know, when they actually came back to the website, etc. Wouldn't I be looking at the same picture? Wouldn't that be helpful? Because then I could know when it comes time to go and market and promote my next, you know, event, I could go find all the people who have been clicking and doing and reading, right, and liking, etc., all of that same topic. Wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't I have a higher probability of selling to the people who I can prove have shown demonstrated experience, you know, interest in that area? Wouldn't it make sense for me to go sell that product to them first, right? What's probably my probability of them buying that versus just some random group of people that I'm just blasting an email to? Probably higher. So this whole marketing automation, it's giving me a whole new tool for me to, again, here's our funnel, be able to create something at the top, pull them in, pull them through this kind of funnel part, moving them into an opportunity and into a customer, right? And so the big thing to say here is why a lot of people in the marketing automation, they get stuck. They're like, I don't see what's new. It has email. And what they're missing is that email only works when you have an email address, right? That's when it works. So traditionally, if you look at the bottom here, most associations are experts. They've been doing all communications. They haven't been marketing. They've been doing communications, and they have been doing marketing within upsell marketing, meaning I'm marketing to people who have already been a customer at some point, okay? So our traditional world is really about, again, not how to keep sending out email. It's about how to take the email we're doing on the side and move it to being even better so we up the engagement piece. It's about using the digital to take it from we're guessing and we're blasting people to actually having that insight so we can actually craft these hyper-personalized experiences. The part that's new about marketing automation is this whole top funnel, right? This is a whole tool set that we've never thought about. We don't have a budget for, we've never known that we could put all this stuff together, etc. And that's really one of the big areas where marketing automation comes into play. Now, for most associations, they start with the bottom funnel. They start with making it better for what they're already doing. So like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go in and I want to do a better job in email marketing and get better insight and more metrics. At the same time, I'm going to build out this kind of new lead generation at the top. So, you know, kind of here's a self-assessment kind of point. So if any of these resonate with you, if you're wondering, you know, how many emails do we send? How do I acquire new members? Where does my time and effort go? You know, if you're tasked with, hey, this year we have an initiative we have to grow, etc., the likelihood is that you probably are a good candidate for marketing automation, okay? If any of these are your information distribution channels right now, websites, social, webinars, events, email, maybe you do some digital advertising, you know, something like Google AdWords, or maybe you're doing some Facebook ads or Twitter cards. If any of those are you, right, marketing automation, organizations move to marketing automation because it's going to bundle together a whole bit of this to make it more efficient for you to actually utilize those tools. Here's the buyer's journey we were talking about. So just another way to look at it. Marketing automation is going to plug in at all these pieces, right? So I was saying, wouldn't it be great if I could look at all the different ways that one person is interacting with me and then score them so I can understand if they're really ready to buy, okay? And I don't have to bother them. I'm not sending them a survey. I'm not calling them up. Again, for most associations, you're dealing with tens of thousands of people, right? Maybe you've got a couple thousand organizations that are actually, you know, organizational members, and then they have all their people. Well, that's impossible. We can't be in the world here of individual interaction. So digital solves that, because what I'm doing is I'm putting different pieces of content out in the world. In this example, I'm putting out blog posts and some sort of downloadable, maybe research report, sending them an email afterwards, seeing if they come to the website, et cetera. Do they put it in their shopping cart, and do they purchase? And every way along this path, I'm able to say, did they do the activity that they want? That little piece is called lead scoring. I'm assigning points as they're moving through. And I, the association, have put out the content strategically in their path to be able to measure, are they going to move from point A, of they just saw it, the blog post, to point B, becoming a customer, right? This is that top half, back to the funnel. The top half of the funnel, right, that associations are like, say what? And this is the part that's brand new. It's understanding and putting in place strategically, using content, using live events, using some mix to put together the right journey to move people from they didn't know you at all from Adam to being an actual customer. That's the piece that's really the new part of marketing automation, okay? And it's like email's not new to you, websites aren't new to you, none of that's new. You probably have blogs, you certainly have e-commerce. It's how do you strategically put this into a flow and score it so that we're actually moving people from point A to point B. Number one, how do we get in front of the person already who doesn't even know we exist, okay? That's this piece of the buyer's journey of aligning our now strategy to use digital to align to today's buyer's journey. When somebody's making 70% of the purchase decision before you've ever talked to them, right? So whether you know it or not, you probably have hundreds of people who might be looking at your website every day and they go away and you don't have any way to capture them and you don't know what they're looking at, and you could have been a value there, but you didn't have the mechanisms in place to be able to capture that, study it, understand it, and react to it. That's where marketing automation kind of fits in. From just a standpoint though, you know, it doesn't look all that interesting. It looks like a lot of what you already have, okay? So it looks like, hey, marketing automation platforms typically bundle together, like I said, all of these different kind of techniques and little feature sets, I should say, into one platform. But if I take my entire list here, you might say, I only see 3 to 4 pieces that are different than stuff I already have. And so like the skeptical association goes down there like, yep, got it, got it, got it, got it. And they're not understanding that the power is having it all in one platform and it's all tied together automatically. So whether I'm sending out an email or I'm doing a landing page, it's all designed to be able to track this, right? So you might have all this and you probably might have all the data. For you to put all that together, you can do it manually. It takes a lot of time to be able to take this type of information, tie it back to a particular like product that you're pushing, and then be able to say, without a shadow of a doubt, where they came from, right? What's the track that they took? What journey did they take? And did it result in revenue? Reasons that organizations go to marketing automation is that all this is bundled together. It's tied together automatically. And so I can now get to the good stuff, which is focusing in on creating that buyer's journey with the right content and analyzing to find out how many people fell through my funnel and the people that where did they get stuck in the funnel. That's why organizations are going to marketing automation, right? That's the fundamental thing. If you break it apart though and you look at it, you would say, I'm not seeing it, right? And that's okay, because again, we're only at the early part of the big bell curve. There's certainly a lot of, adoption takes a long time. Any new technology takes a long time. So there's still a long tail of, the laggards and the, skeptics who are, it's called laggards in marketing, and the laggards who are not willing to see it or want to get onto, what's moving. And that's quite all right, because it's a wave. But for the, again, we're not making this up. This isn't new. The early adopters have already adopted and they're using it. We're now into the kind of the big part of adoption. And so they're finally understanding, oh, the value is having a platform that has this whole piece of it. I have one platform to do both funnels, the grow revenue and the entire funnel also for the gain insight, okay? So we talked about email always being this tripwire, and here's again our digital marketing and association report. So we put that in here because a lot of associations, it's changing because we're doing a lot of education, but they get caught up on the email part, right? And when they're going to a marketing automation platform, it's not a better way to do email, okay? As a matter of fact, it could be that you didn't even know how in-depth you were within email, and oftentimes it's not uncommon that, this is actually really common, an association typically knows more about their email and email opt-outs than most organizations in the for-profit world, right? Like associations spend countless hours worrying about opt-outs and why did they opt out and who opted out and what's the difference between my opt-outs in my email database from my association management database, and what can we do about it, and what can we do for people that unsubscribed. I mean, lots and lots and lots of time is spent on that area. That's a retention model, right? In a retention model, that stuff is really critical to know. In a growth model, you're kind of like, you know what, if you opt out and you don't want us, that's fine. I'm going to go get other people who do. It's a very different mindset. Okay, that's something that I watch, that's a tripwire for an association, because we got to expand out and say, oh, not everything that we worried about before is as important on a growth side, right? That's kind of a key one. So giving you kind of some things here between email marketing and marketing automation. Email marketing, here's the typical tool, kind of buzzwords that you hear. We need blast email. The metrics are about open and click through. The metrics aren't tied together, meaning I've got every email has its own set of metrics together individually, and then maybe I roll it up, but it's not tied to anything else. Like I can't look at, okay, well, this bundle of email, the bundle of email plus what we did on digital plus the direct mail that we put out, what did we get? See, so right there, email is one point solution that is supposed to go into an integrated marketing campaign, right? It's not supposed to be the whole campaign. Email is very push marketing, right? And it's meant to be retention. The reason I say that is, look at this. In every email platform, I don't know if I want to say every, in the vast majority of email marketing platforms that are out there in the market, they all have the ability to set up a subscription form. So you can actually say, hey, little thing, do you want to get my newsletter? You put in your email and you address and say yes. You get the email that says, do you want to add? Yes. And now I'm on their newsletter list, right? I'm on their email list. A large portion of associations do not ever use that feature. They have no subscription sign up on their website to allow me to opt in to a newsletter. And do you know why? Because all the newsletters and all the email they've been doing are considered a members only benefit. Being able to sign up for a newsletter, an email, list, an email description, an email, products and service offerings, hey, put me on your list. That's kind of the typical thing. You see that all the time on you name it, shoe companies, health companies. I'm going to go onto Nike.com, add me to your list. Why don't associations do that? Why does everybody else do that? Because they're looking for leads. As soon as you've given me my email address, I can now go into a one-to-one conversation with you. Okay, Nike.com says, thank you very much, Suzanne Carolyn. Now we're going to start sending you email about our products and services and offers. And we're going to start figuring out, right, or not just ask you, what areas are you interested in? What kind of email do you want to get? What kind of products are you? Are you a runner? Do you play a sport? Blah, blah, blah. Everyone else is doing that for lead generation, yet most of us are sitting on the feature, but we haven't ever thought in our association, why the heck don't we have a non-members newsletter? Maybe we should start it today to help with lead generation. right? Marketing automation does that because it's thinking about drip marketing. It's thinking about one-to-one marketing where I'm nurturing you along. You've given me, just like I just used my Nike example, I've given Nike my email address. Nike's saying, thank you very much, Suzanne Carowin. We want to treat you in the way that email is supposed to be. So we're going to send you a little bit of email, and based on your behavior, we're going to adjust that flow. And at some point, we're going to start asking you questions so we learn more about you. And of course, if I'm clicking on Nike's email and they send me a bunch of stuff, and I click on the stuff on, lacrosse cleats, and I go back to their site and they see that I'm shopping for lacrosse cleats for a size 9.5, right, for etc. They're starting to put together, this is they're getting my email address, they're getting this stuff, they're looking at my name, they're looking at all these things, they're saying, this is probably a mom shopping for her male child, right? They're making that stuff and they start getting smarter. The catalogs come, here comes lacrosse season, here comes the offers. Everybody understands how these organizations kind of are doing it, but they're not putting into place. Associations can do that too. You're sitting on more data than Nike.com has about me, okay? So marketing automation is doing that process. It is the infrastructure to be able to deliver to you on conversion, right? It's giving you the full loop between here we want you to engage with us and provide your email address, so then we can start emailing to you and being able to look at this cumulative look at an individual's digital footprint, okay? It's pull marketing. It's pull. They're pulling me into them. They're doing a game situation, if you will, where they're saying, hey, here's some offers, and look, here's a concept. You tell us what you want, and we'll go ahead and provide you what you want. It's user-driven, and it's interactive. It's interactive between myself and the brand, okay? That's a relationship. That's what membership in a digital age is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, right? We're in it together. So I'm supposed to feel like I'm with you as my association through every step of my digital interaction. I'm not supposed to feel like, oh, here comes another email with like a bunch of products you're pushing to me, and I'm not even in that area of my field specialty, right? Or here you go, you're sending me this huge email about the conference. I get this one all the time, about an awesome conference that's going to happen tomorrow in California, and I live in Ohio, right? Like, you're not putting together, I can't physically get there or afford to get there in that time frame, okay? You're not even paying attention to me, okay? That's why organizations are moving from email marketing to marketing automation, right? So you don't want to have someone opt out of you, and worse, you know what's better? At least if they click on the button to say opt out. Like I always tell associations, that's the best thing you can get. At least you have a definitive answer that they've got a heartbeat and this is not working for them. Then you can do something, okay? What doesn't work is when you just don't know. They never open, but they don't unsubscribe, and they're kind of in this no man's land and you don't know. That's actually worse, right? Marketing automation solves that because it's delivering on the promise of what email marketing told us it could be, probably 10 years ago. Okay, so I've put a couple other tools in there for you to kind of look at comparison, right? To really kind of drill down between these kind of areas. And again, I've just given you a nice synopsis. This is not mine, it's from VentureBeat. It's a little bit of a dated article, but I thought it's such a good checklist that it's a good way to break it down to, especially to like executives. We get a lot of questions about how do I get the buy-in from my executive team, like, hey, Suzanne, I'm a believer. I totally want this. I'm chomping at the bit. How do I get budget, or how do I get my organization to move to marketing automation, right? This is a nice checklist to really help get you there, okay? So as we kind of wrap up for today, I wanted to end it and put a fine point on it by really doing a case study and looking at an association who's done this, right? Not all theoretical, etc. Looking at why they did it, how they did it, and kind of what's working for them. So this is the Construction Financial Management Association. They're founded, in 1981, so they're fairly new. They don't have like a 100-year history that many associations, are privileged to have. They really are kind of set up to bring together kind of a very unique, very niche marketplace, because not only are you a financial professional, so you're in finance for, insurance, or you've got you're a financial company, et cetera, wealth management, on and on. Not only that, you have to be specifically in construction finance, okay? So like I said, there's probably a lot of people out there that are in construction finance, but they just consider them a financial professional, and they didn't know there was a place to go that's really specific about construction finance, right? Which is different. If I have to underwrite some massive building project, that's very, very specific kind of stuff, big time of money, etc. So there's a whole place where this group of people who are specifically in construction finance can get together and talk. They've got 7,000 members, so it's not a small organization. It's not teensy tiny, but it's also not, it's not a large one. It's kind of like a nice size, and they have a very small staff, because I get that all the time. But what about the small staff? They've got a small staff. They've got a staff of one, okay? And they had one very innovative woman who said, enough's enough. I'm but one woman. I've got to have a better way to do all of this, right? We need, if we just knew, if we had better metrics, I could do a better job of marketing. So we looked at their marketing technology stack. That's what it's called. What are the tools you have, for you to do your work? They had an association management system, an email system, and a website. Content management system, right? We call those the big three. That's pretty standard. If you're on the phone, you probably have the same three. Okay. Afterwards, they went to an association management system, an integrated marketing automation system, and still their website was there, right? But in doing that, in putting in and replacing their email system with an integrated marketing automation system that's talking to both their association management system and their content management system, they also got all of this, okay? And they just switched out that one component to a marketing automation play, and it made all the difference. Their challenges, here's what they needed. They need to identify and convert new members. They need to increase engagement. So I just said the two things, right? Identify and convert new members, grow revenue. Increase engagement within a member company, gain insight. I need to increase understanding conversion factors to drive revenue, grow revenue. I need to address changing tastes and preferences of members, gain insight, okay? Boom, perfect candidate already. They decided to work with us, put together this roadmap, right? They decided to consolidate all this kind of marketing data sources into the marketing automation platform. So from their AMS, they brought in the event registration, membership, demographics, who purchased what committees they're on, what title they have, what role they have, webinar data, information from their learning management system, as well as some pertinent information from their social communities. And they put not everything, but just the right things, the key indicators so that they can do a better segmentation into the marketing automation, allowing now marketing to create whatever list they want, okay? That's a huge part of it. Marketing now has a business intelligence tool. They were missing that before. They were guessing. They were saying, okay, we need to have a new event. Let's go to, let me go down the hall to IT and say, IT, give me a list of everybody who's attended this in the last 3 years, who lives in these 4 states, and who, who maybe has something, this in their title, right? At least director in their title. And that's how they made their lists, okay? Not horrible, but not as good as it could be with having behavioral kind of stuff. They did all that through having a really great integration between these different systems, right? So they created a whole new digital ecosystem to get the data flowing so that the marketing team, this woman of one, had all of this to do her segmentation, right? So when she went to pull the list, now she could say, okay, give me everybody who's attended the meeting in the last 3 years, who lives in these states, who has this in their job title, right? Who has at least visited our website 4 times in the last year, right? Who's downloaded this particular ebook, who's clicked on a particular email, etc. Okay? We've got a lot more to pull from to refine our list so we can really figure out who's doing what. Not surprisingly, the IT team didn't get it. They didn't get it. They said, I don't know why you're not okay with just, you have the tools you need. You have email, you got a website, right? And you got our AMS. Why can't we just do that? And aren't we putting too much data into the marketing automation system? And they made her justify why she needed the data. And the big thing is that she was able to come back and say, look, the database of record is still staying the association management system, but it doesn't have to be the heart of the entire digital ecosystem anymore. okay? I've got data residing in all sorts of sources, and in order for me to market correctly in today's world, I have to be able to have actionable data. The business unit people, whether it's marketing, publications, events, products, certification, etc., they've got to have direct access to the data. They need to be able to make those queries all the time for themselves so that they can answer their own questions. Because marketing automation is also kind of a business intelligence tool. It's, again, not just about pushing out content. It's about studying what people are actually doing with your content, right? So once the IT team got that, and they realized that actually by putting in marketing automation, they were saving themselves a ton of time, because what they could do is they no longer had to run the reports for marketing, nor do they have to pull any lists for her for email, right? Because in her email system, she wasn't able to do that whole combination of put together this view and, you know, pull people from all these kind of different things. Like, so they thought, you know, oh, what a pain. Every time she walks in here and she wants it like in 5 minutes, she wants a list that's causing us to write these major SQL queries to put this information together, you know, et cetera. And now she has all that herself, right? Happy. It's like a win-win situation. So her world went to looking like something like this. She now has all the lists that she ever had that she had in email marketing. She hasn't lost any functionality, right? Gains it. But what she can do is do queries like this. Hey, I want to find out who checked out our pricing page but didn't register for the event. That she never had before. That's a helpful piece of information to have. Now she can be able to hand that over to the events people when they're like, I don't understand why people aren't registering. So you know what? Here's 3 people who are looking at our events, the pricing page. Clearly we can denote in their buyer's journey, they're shopping. If they didn't go further, maybe we need to do something else with them. Maybe send them an email, maybe send them, you know, call them up, whatever. But here's who we should go get, okay? She's able to do all these kind of campaigns ahead of time to do some of the heavy lifting for her. Her annual meeting, she was doing the same 4 emails every year. She did like a, you know, save the date, early bird registration, regular registration, you know, fire sale registration, know before you go, eval, right? Same thing. The only thing that changed was the look and feel and some of the content. She was able to put it all into a workflow and let it go, okay? Now she's really being able to say, okay, let's focus in on what we need to do. Now what she can do is when somebody responds to that, she kicks out an email to somebody on the conference team who gets an email that has all of the information about that person in one email. So if they don't convert, especially it's like they're looking to buy an exhibitor space, they're able to outfit other people in the organization with all the pertinent information. They've taken out the black box of digital is how I like to describe that, okay? So she's taken the data, she's made it actionable, she's given herself a tool that allows her to sleep at night. She's one woman. She's been able to get all this insight, and when you know it, they're growing revenue. So really, in summary, you know, that's a great example. And again, small, I mean, not a small staff organization, not a huge revenue organization. You know, sometimes also the smaller, actually, a lot of times if you're a smaller organization, you have a competitive advantage because you can move a lot faster than some of these big, you know, big organizations. Don't forget that. So if you're like, oh, we can't do it, we're too small, I'd think again on that one. You probably are well suited to be able to pop into marketing automation because you actually have a competitive advantage. In summary now for marketing automation and wrapping up for today. The big thing about getting really into it and understanding this and using this as a primer is knowing the difference again between email and marketing automation, right? What's really marketing automation that we're talking about? Being a savvy kind of shopper. Have a business case for why you're going to do it. Just don't say, I want a new tool, okay? You really need to say, here's how we want to apply it. So we get a lot of inquiries every day that's like, hey, I want a demo. I want a marketing automation. And what we say is, for what? What are you really going to use it for, right? Because if you don't really have it, it's more expensive than email, number one. So if you don't have a use for it, save the dollars. I'm a pragmatic marketer, right? Don't use the money. Have a business case. If your business cases are along the lines of gain insight and grow revenue, now we're talking, right? Know that all these marketing automation platforms they all have a ton of features. They're not that easy to distinguish between real marketing automation platforms, right? So goodness of fit and the tool set and like, do you like it? Do you like the company? Do you like the people? That because some other factors become an important part of a marketing automation shopping experience. Got to have the integration, that's key. And remember, it's not necessarily the tool. All the tools are good nowadays. They're all good. It's about the know-how. With that, I'd like to thank you very much for today's time together. I look forward to seeing you on more upcoming Highroad U webinars. Thanks so much.